Alright, everybody. Continuing where we left off at. We just modified. Well, I just modified the shape because it was getting on my nerves a little bit. For some weird reason, it just wasn't, it wasn't following our object. I just needed to bevel a little bit of the edges, add some more detail in the center, and I added more subdivisions and just made it a bit more curve. Alright. And then, I just modified the little nut screw thing. I just expanded it to make it more circle-ish. Alright, so let me just put this back to about 3, which is pretty good. So now we're going to finish things off by creating our sandglass. Alright, so we're going to do this by using a cube. And let's see. You kind of want it in the center. So let's do that. We're going to chop this off. And let's add a modifier, mirror. Let's see. Let's add it in real time. We want it to be below. There we go. Alright, so now we're going to just, for this middle part in the center, we're going to scale that down. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to add a loop cut in the center. Since it's just mirroring whatever we do up here, since we don't got to do it below. Last, we'll select those. Oh, and what do you know? We're missing a little piece that's at the bottom. So I'm going to move that about right there. And what do I want to use? Of course, my origin. So let's use a circle. 12 vertices is still pretty nifty. Keep it in the center. Just scale to about... Put our snapping back on. And we're still using face. So let's put that there. There we go. It looks pretty... it may be the right size. I'm just going to scale it. Oops. Turn my snapping off. Scale it up a little bit with S. Alright, that's fine. Now we'll just have to fine-tune our shape as we get our object situated. So now, just want to extrude, constrain it on the Z, bring it up. Doesn't really look like there's much to the shape. So I'm going to select both of the cat parts, Control Tab, just go into edge selection, E for extrude, just scale it inward. Now we're just going to grid fill, slash, and press Control F, grid fill. There we go. Now we're done. We're done with that. Oh, and the last thing is add those edges to retain our detail. 2 levels of subdivision with our modifier. Change our shading to smooth. That's pretty much all she wrote. So now, I'm just going to make it go through the ground a little bit more. Well, not the ground, but up there. So I'm going to Shift D to duplicate. Move it up. Since it may be one above it. Yeah. And we're just going to mimic where that's at. So roughly right here. Less, maybe too much. Roughly right there. Alright, so now let's go back to the hourglass. Now, just going to move it all the way up. It kind of overlaps it a little bit. All right, so we already see that we gotta do something. So, um, all right. Well, just want to adjust it a little bit. And for here, I'm just gonna select these, just drag them down. And voila, there we go. And I'm just going to drag that down a little bit. Still got to do something about it. Alright, something went wrong. So we have a little bit of a space going on there. Alright, so I'm just going to fix that other part. Just noticed that, which is funny. Alright, so now we're just gonna incrementally add in some edges and then just shape it. Oops. There we go. And we're just going to add some more loop cuts all around. Select everything, smooth it out. One more. Alright, so that's looking good. Add a subdivision surface. Up here it looks to be a little big. Also put proportional editing on. Makes doing stuff very fast. Alright, so we're almost done. I'm just going to fatten this part up. One more cut right there. Looks like we gotta select a bit more. Scale it to about right here. That looks good. Change our shading. So let's see now. Looks pretty good. I think it needs one more smooth. There we go. Alright, so now we just gotta adjust what's been offsetted a little bit. Just gonna move these up. Let's see. There we go. So now we just gotta adjust the metal rods. There we go. Roughly right there. Make sure up here is fine. I don't know why that happened. So we're going to do it again. Sometimes you got to make sure that you're not selecting other parts of your mesh. What? Okay. Ah, that's what happened. I had both parts selected. Alright, now that's looking fine. So we've pretty much completed modeling our hourglass. Now the last part, we just want to add some sand. Oops. And what I did was I selected about half of these vertices, Shift D, P to separate. Edit it as a separate part. Okay, we don't want to duplicate both. We just want one side. Oh, okay. That's why I did. Apply this. Delete. Alright, there you go. Give it its own origin with Control Alt Shift C. Now put it like that. Oops. There we go. So now we're just gonna chop off some of it if they let us. There we go. Get rid of those duplicates. Chop off the top part. Scale it in just a little bit so that it doesn't penetrate through the mesh. Select everything. Alright, now that's fine. So now we're just going to hit Control F, grid fill. Subdivide everything. And put proportional editing back on. In case if you can't see, I'm just going to move some of these vertices up to give the impression that some of the sand is actually, you know, coming downward. And actually, let me select this pro part. And pretty much Cycles is going to do the rest. Oops, so let's do here to, let's just smooth this part up. And that looks pretty good. Alright, so we're going to Shift D for duplicate. Turn proportional editing off. Rotate that 180. Oops. Rotate that 180 on our y-axis. Alright, so we're going to edit this part. Drag it all the way up. About midway. So we're just going to scale this, modify the shape. Grab the middle vertex, scale it a bit down to give off the impression that it's coming from the center and it's pouring down. I'm going to delete this middle vertex. I'm going to extrude it inward. And the last part, all you have to really do is just use proportional editing and just adjust it. Oops. Get that circle again. Proportional editing. It's weird that it's selecting that, but it's fine. So we're just going to make this overlap over here, just a little bit. Add some loop cuts. And then just modify, make sure that it's inside the mesh. Alright, let's see, just a bit more in terms of just modifying that. Alright, so that's looking good. So we have those inner parts. So now let's just add the ambient occlusion, and we're just going to go to Cycles. And we're just going to set up very simple setup. I'm not really a professional at doing this, so I don't really know all the goodies. So I know you just like a little studio setup. So I'm just going to add some loop cuts, pull this back a little bit. Let's see. Put it on the ground plane a little bit. Alright, so that's good. That'll work. Alright, just modify. Alright, that's pretty much it. So now, all we need to do is just go into our materials and start just selecting away. Just go to ambient occlusion. Leave it as the default. Ambient occlusion. Alright, all those are pretty much situated. And do the same thing with these little bolts. Oh, okay. Well, that's part of it as well. Lastly, we're going to leave this as what it is. And we're going to add also some more ambient occlusion. And lastly, to really see what we're doing, we're going to change this into a 3D view. Shift Z for a real-time render. Well, in the viewport. Alright, so that's fine. So, minimize that. So next, I'm going to select the hourglass itself, and we're going to create another material, but this time we're going to change it to glass. We're going to put that all the way up. We're going to put the color to about all white. You know, the default settings are pretty decent as they are, but I just want to play around with it a little bit. So I'm gonna go about 1.5. I don't know if it's gonna update that. It should update right in real time. Or let's see, 1.2. Alright, that's too transparent, so 1.2. I think that may work. Those are a pretty good number. It's a bit, the render is noisy because of the samples, but since we're just doing this in a viewport, it's pretty fine. And if you want to change your samples, you just update those numbers right here in your render panel. Alright, so we got that. Last thing is to color off our sand. Just make it all white. And let's select that. Control L, which is going to copy the material over. It's weird that it's not updating it. This is a little weird. Well, nonetheless, you may have to just play around with your numbers, because I'm not entirely sure why it's not coming off as a white color. Or let me see right here. Sometimes the real-time thing takes a bit of a second to really adjust. I'm not too familiar with cycles, but just to give you an idea of how I set up the render, I'm not entirely sure why the colors got mixed up, but initially that's how you model the hourglass, well not hourglass, sand glass, all components and the materials So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you got stuck on any part, please leave me a comment or a personal message just in case, and I'll gladly be able to assist you with, whichever part you got stuck with. And if you come up with a new type of sand glass yourself, definitely feel free to send it as a video response. All right. Whew, that was a journey in getting this done. Very fun. So I hope you definitely look forward to the next set of videos coming soon. And definitely don't forget to subscribe, rate, comment, like, whatever. Whichever one comes first. So, hope you enjoyed it. Alright, bye.